Welcome to another Rolled in Reacts episode. This customer had installed a new oil pan gasket by himself and wanted the mechanic to make sure everything looked right. The owner of this car had an oil leak fixed at another shop, but the car was apparently still leaking oil. This car rolled in with some starting issues after the owner and his friend had installed a new sound system a few weeks prior. Customer states, the window won't roll down. Customer states, my car rocks back and forth too much. Once on the lift, the mechanic made a shocking discovery. And this old Volkswagen rolled in because the owner complained about it making too much of a pataka taka taka noise. This Nissan Navara came in because of a noisy engine. The mechanic later discovered that the last oil change was 42,000 miles ago. And this customer came in complaining about rough and noisy shifts. Customer states, my father-in-law helped me install new brake calipers, but now my brakes feel weird. Can you check it out? This car came in to get an oil change when the mechanic discovered that someone had installed the battery cables the wrong way and didn't tighten the battery hold-on enough, so it had been touching against one of the poles all along. And this customer somehow drove in with her brakes in this condition. Customer states, someone keeps calling me all the time when I'm driving and my transmission has a weird noise. This customer complained about his truck burning too much oil. Apparently, he had done an oil change by himself, but forgot to drain out the old oil. The mechanic estimated overfill to be about 2 gallons or 7.6 liters. And the owner of this car had challenged their friend to a tug war, and this is apparently the result. This classic Rolls-Royce came in because of an engine problem right after the owner had just purchased it. The mechanic pulled the engine apart and discovered that someone had already tried fixing it, but done it with some JB Weld. This BMW M5 came in with some starting issues after the owner heard a loud bang when driving back home from work the day before. Customer states, car started sounding like a tractor overnight. This customer came in because they had apparently been backing out of their garage when the garage door had started to close by itself. This customer's Volkswagen came in because it wouldn't start after being parked for a couple of months. The mechanics tried draining the oil from the engine, but ended up with a bit of a situation. This car apparently had double lug nuts on a non-double wheel. Thankfully, the mechanic noticed this in time and the customer agreed to getting the proper lug nuts installed. This car owner came in wondering why his brakes were squeaking. The brake pads were apparently almost like new. And this truck came in for a tire swap, but when the mechanic opened the rear door, he discovered something a bit weird. Turns out that the owner keeps bunnies as a hobby. The owner of this car came in saying that it has gotten harder and harder to put the car in gear the past few months and wanted it checked out. This car had a brand spanking new engine installed at another shop, but had to come in again because of a transmission leak. Apparently, the other shop had tried fixing the leak by just slapping on a bit of silicone. Customer states, had a brake light for a while, then my buddy helped me fix it, but the light just came back on yesterday. Looks good. The owner of this Jeep Wagoneer came in because the brake pedal apparently just Customer states the rear seat won't stay in place. Customer states my turbo doesn't go anymore. Can you check it out? Uh-oh, chunky's never good. Customer states I hear a weird noise when turning. Customer states I'm getting a weird smell in the cab. I'm thinking it might be a burnt wire or something. This car came in looking like this after the owner said that they hit something small on the highway. This car was parked in a barn for 3 years and the owner wanted to see if it was savable. This Mercedes-Benz C-Class was apparently owned by an older gentleman who had borrowed it to his grandson for a couple of months, but had to come in with it because it had started to handle like a boat full of potatoes. Customer states, I just need an oil change. Don't try to sell me something else. Customer states, steering wheel feels jerky. And this customer rolled in with their car complaining about a clunking sound after their best friend had just installed new struts for them. Customer reluctantly came in for some wheel work after having said, I typically do my own work, but I trust you guys. And this Dodge Magnum rolled in because of a fuel leak. The mechanic discovered that the fuel tank had a hole in it right next to the exhaust. This Corvette came into the shop because the owner complained about a clunking sound when turning, and this is what the mechanic found. And this engine is from a Ford Focus that overheated after the thermostat housing broke. This 2008 Ford F-150 came in to get a new oil pan gasket when the mechanic discovered some treats inside the oil pan. Apparently, the truck even drove in like this. The owner of this car rolled in complaining about a vibrating steering wheel after having balanced the wheels all by himself. And this Suzuki came in for a bit of a knocking noise. And this car had new brakes installed at a different shop, but the owner had to come in the next morning because the brakes caught on fire while he was on his way to work. Customer states, car clunks and vibrates when turning. Please advise. The mechanic found the issue to be caused by a worn out lower control arm. And this customer complained about rear clunking noises. This Mercedes-Benz E350 rolled in because the owner complained about a really wobbly steering wheel when driving on the highway. Customer states, car smells like it's burning a lot of oil. Turns out that it was because the car had an oil leak straight onto the exhaust. When you're just that determined to get every last mile out of your old tires. Customer states, tried repairing my own wheel. Please help. The owner of this truck came in complaining about a loud whining noise after they had towed a trailer full of sandbags. And this car came in because the owner complained about an oil leak. This tractor got flooded during hurricane season and had been entirely submerged in the water for about 2 weeks before coming into the shop to get it sorted out. This customer came in saying that their car is clunking more than normal after their friend had borrowed it over the weekend. This customer had their Mazda 5 in for a new ball joint at another shop, but had to come in again because the shop apparently didn't weld this one like they did last time. Customerstates was racing a guy at a stoplight, and then I heard a loud pop and the car stopped. The owner of this car came in because he had just replaced his engine but already had an oil leak. Apparently, the person who installed the engine had not installed a new oil filter but just kept the old one. This customer had tried welding his cracked power steering rack back together by himself, but it wasn't super successful, so he had to come into the shop to get it fixed. And when shipping takes too long, you've just gotta work with what you got. And this customer came in complaining about a strange noise coming from their wheels after their buddy had helped them install some new brake pads. Apparently, they forgot the retaining pins that keeps the pad in place, and the pads had been scraping against the inside of the wheel, which caused the noise. This car had a bit of a leak in its brand new master cylinder. This Honda CR-V came in because it was apparently not just lubricating the engine, but also the belts and the entire engine bay. This car came in because it had started to clunk a lot after the owner had done some body work on it all by himself. Customer states, "My car barely has any brakes, please advise." And this Dodge Journey came in because the owner complained about it being too bumpy when driving. Oh yeah. And the owner of this car had just installed new wheel bearings by themselves, but had to come in after one of their front wheels had driven right past them on the highway. Customer states, "My steering wheel feels wobbly." And this customer's Honda CR-V apparently threw a rod out the engine block. Customer states, "Drove into a large pothole." When your oil filter starts looking like this, you're probably a little bit overdue on your oil change. Customer states, "Every time I brake, it sounds like someone's screaming." And this car came in because the owner could hear weird noises from the back of the car. This customer complained about their new wipers not working. And this car came in with a bit of a leak. And this Ford 350 came in with some differential issues. Once the mechanic removed the differential cover, he discovered this. And this Chevy S10 came in after the owner said they heard a loud bang while towing a trailer with a 16-foot high concrete penguin in it. This mechanic had his 2022 Yukon in because it ran bad and white smoke came out of it. Apparently, the engine had been filled with almost 3 gallons or 11 liters worth of oil. This car came in because the owner said it kept overheating and leaking coolant, but they just couldn't figure out why. And this customer specifically asked for an alignment, but not a new rim, so the mechanics did as they were told. This is what happens when a car has been sitting outside for 6 months with no hood and valve cover, with only an old towel covering the intake. Luckily though for this car, after getting some new cams, lifters and rockers, it somehow ran okay again. And this car rolled in with quite the list of expensive issues. This customer complained about their car feeling jerky every time they hit the gas. And this car had some issues with their transmission. Customerstates went on a road trip up north, started hearing clunking noises from the back. This customer came in complaining about a clunking noise after having done some suspension work by themselves. And this Honda Accord came in with a pretty beat up CV axle. Customer states, every time I turn on the AC, car rattles like a snake. Customer states, it's been getting harder and harder to shift the past few months. And this customer brought their car in with some extra caramel drizzle. Customer states, clunking noises when turning. This customer came in saying that they have to refill their coolant all the time, and this is what the mechanic found. And this customer had just purchased this used Kia Niro but came in because it overheated after only a few days of use. Because the Niro is a hybrid, it's got a heat exchanger in the exhaust to help with fuel efficiency during cold starts. The mechanic discovered that the exhaust was pretty beat up and the coolant lines not even connected to the heat exchanger. And this car's valve cover gasket must be pretty non-existent for there to be that much oil in there. This car came in with an exhaust leak after the owner had DIY'd their own exhaust system. This customer had just got a new suspension installed at another shop, but had to come in to get this ball joint fixed after hitting a curb a bit too hard. And the owner of this car said that where they live, there's not much asphalt on the road. This customer came in because they hear a knocking sound from their newly installed transmission. Unfortunately for this customer, it looks like they might need another transmission replacement. And this customer came in with poor braking power after he had renovated the brakes on his truck together with a friend. And the owner of this Volkswagen had fixed his headlight all by himself. Customer states, car wobbles and is loud when driving on the highway. And this customer had accidentally ran over a stop sign with their car. Luckily for them though, they had shut off the engine right on time. This car came in because of a pretty bad clunking sound after the owner had practiced his welding skills on parts of the rear suspension. Choo choo! All aboard! Customer states, I ran over a small piece of wood on the highway. Could you check how it's looking underneath? This 2003 Nissan Altima came in because the owner complained about a loss of power, oil pressure light coming on, and it randomly stalling on him. Apparently, the owner had kept the engine on a low oil diet, and this is the amount of metal that the mechanic found in the oil filter. This customer had their car in for a yearly service at another shop, but had to come in because they now have a misfire. This Ram 3500 rolled in because the owner had been towing something when suddenly hearing a loud bang from his transmission. Must have been something pretty heavy, I guess. This customer came in because they've had a tire leak for a while and wanted it checked out. Customer states, something ain't right with my brakes. Please advise. And this car had some suspension work done at another shop, but had to come in because of a pretty bad noise. And this customer came in complaining about poor handling when driving over 40 miles an hour. This customer had installed the LED underglow kit by himself, and when asked about the way he installed it, he just went, "Hey man, if it works, it works." And this customer had made his own catalytic converter protector. Perfect. And this truck came in because it wasn't running right, and this is what the mechanics found. Turns out that a valve spring had broken on cylinder 6, and unfortunately the customer had to get a whole new engine installed. And this differential has definitely seen some better days. This truck rolled in for a seasonal wheel swap, but when the mechanics went to take the wheels off, they discovered that the customer had secured the hubcaps with some silicone. Okay, here's a little quiz for you. One of these things are unlike the other. Can you guess which one it is? This car had just gotten its alternator replaced, but the battery was still not being charged. Apparently, the car has a manual belt tensioner and the owner had never tightened it after replacement. Sometimes, all you need is a little bit of tension to make things right. And this customer had fixed an oil leak in a pretty creative way. And this customer came in saying, "My Kia sounds like a grass trimmer. Can you do something about it?" You gotta love that extra virgin olive oil. This customer had installed a lowering kit by themselves, but came in saying that they keep smelling burnt rubber all the time and wanted it checked out. And this is a perfect example of how not to work on your truck. And this mechanic was replacing a fender liner on his vehicle when he accidentally discovered the secret hiding place of all 10 mils. Customer states, "Car lock doesn't always do what I want it to do. Please advise." Oh! This Freightliner Cascadia rolled in with quite the oil leak after the truck driver had hit a large rock while driving on the highway. Apparently, the oil tray is made out of plastic on these models, which probably made the whole situation worse. And this car had some starting issues, and the mechanic discovered it was because ants had apparently built a nest in the fuse box. And this is exactly why mechanics and car engineers always love each other. And this customer came in because they apparently lost all steering while driving after having installed a lowering kit all by themselves. This Dodge Durango came in for an inspection after the owner had just purchased it the night before. Apparently, he had forgotten to bring a flashlight and ended up paying over $10,000 for it. And this customer wanted fog lights on their car, so they just installed them all by themselves, using some flashlights that they had lying around, and apparently even wired them to a dash switch. And the owner of this car came in really worried, saying, "I keep hearing a loud thump whenever I floor it, and my buddy said that I might need an engine replacement." And this truck came in because it randomly turns itself off and the check engine light is on. Turns out the cylinder 8 had a broken valve stem that caused the issue. Thankfully, the customer's insurance company covered the cost of a new engine. The owner of this Mazda had changed his own spark plugs, but forgot to install one of them, and his car ended up sounding like this. Customer states, "I have a really bad noise when braking, but my brakes aren't even that old." This customer came in with their F-150 saying he had steering issues. The mechanic found the electric rack and pinion to be filled with water. And this has got to be one of those new flexible gear knobs. Customer states, "My horn sounds pathetic. Please advise." And you just gotta love these new inspection windows on the 22 Ford F-150s. Just stick your finger in there, check it out, quick and easy. And this car had done a bit of swimming. This truck came in for some new oil, but the mechanic was surprised at how rusted the oil pan was for only having 18,000 miles on it. And this customer came in saying that, "Either you fix my air vents or I will have to apply for a flying permit." Uh-oh. This Ford Focus came in for a valve cover job, and this is what the mechanic discovered as he opened up the engine. Do you think the owner needs a new motor or just a bit of cleaning? Comment below. And the owner of this 2020 Jeep Cherokee came in saying, "Was driving through a shallow river, but ever since, I keep having this strange noise." And this customer had an oil leak after hitting something small on his way back from work. This customer came in with a bit of a leaking tire. Customer states, "Something's wrong with my windshield." The owner of this truck came in saying, "I've got an ABS light, brake light, and the truck has started getting really sluggish lately. Can you check it out?" Timmy! Get your fingers out of that truck right now! And this is exactly why you have to get new tires after a while, even if the tires look good at first glance. This customer came in because they had issues with poor braking. Apparently, they had done an 800-mile or 1,300-kilometer trip with these brakes. This mechanic had already asked the bolt nicely 5 times before having to do this. This Chevy pickup had some framework done at another shop. Apparently, the shop had only installed one new crossmember but left the other one as it was and just installed a new shock right onto it. Also, they seem to not even have bothered taking off the bed when installing the new crossmember because they just welded the sides and not the top. Very nice! That might be a problem. The owner of this car came in saying that the car feels jerky when driving at higher speeds. And this car had a bit of an oil leak. Customer states, "Really poor steering. Please advise." Customer states, "Car feels weird ever since I hit something on the road a few weeks back. Please advise." This Volkswagen Tiguan came in for a knock-in engine. The mechanic drained the engine of oil and it looks like water because it's 0W20 oil. But what's unfortunate for this customer is that there's also quite a bit of metal flakes floating around in it. Customer states, "My car doesn't accelerate as fast as it used to. Please advise." This customer came in because they had hit something and now their car makes a rattling noise. Customer states, "Issues with my steering wheel after hitting a pothole." This mechanic was lifting this car up to do an oil change when he discovered this. This customer had borrowed their car to their 20-something-year-old son for the weekend while they were out of town. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and until next time.